Part 2 of Combat Mindset, we'll talk a little bit about the difference between target practice and training. And here you'll see the average sort of bullseye target, a target that you're probably familiar with. They come in various sizes and various shapes and colors. And if you're just out target practicing for sport shooting, well, these aren't bad, are they? Let's take a look now at a typical silhouette target. Typical silhouette target, it has some rings on it, and an X ring, a 10 ring, a 9 ring. And the idea, of course, is to place them as close to the center of mass, the X ring, as you can. Well, again, if you're sport shooting, these aren't bad. But if you're defensive shooting, or learning to defend yourself, these are doing you a great disservice. You don't really have the time to get on the sight, slowly, methodically, press off the round, and hit your bullseye. And guess what? The bad guys, they don't have bullseyes on them. They don't have X rings, 10 rings, 7 rings. They just don't, and you're not going to find them out there. Of course, one of them's wearing a t-shirt to make it a little easier for you to place your round. Let's take a look at this. This is one of my training targets. And you'll notice that it has a large white area toward the center of mass. That's called the thoracic cavity. That's the area with all the soft stuff in it. You've got the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, and towards the back of that area, towards the back of the person, I would say, you have the spinal cord. Well, this is the area that we want to hit when we're defensive shooting. And remember, I mentioned in part 1 of Combat Mindset that the average urban gunfight between civilians lasts for about 3 seconds. So if you're at a second and a half getting off your shot into this area, well, you stand a good chance of walking away. Your second and a half is about half the time, isn't it? So we would like to be able to get off a shot to this area, well, let's say from 0 to 7 yards, within a second and a half, or preferably 2 shots. We call that a controlled pair, and why we want to do 2 shots is because the first shot may be just a peripheral hit. In the case of this target, it would be outside the large white area, and we would not want to stop, wait and see if we hit properly, because we don't have time. So what we want to do is train ourselves to put 2 rounds into the thoracic cavity as quickly as possible, keeping in mind you can't miss too fast. So what we'd like to do is start slow, coming up from a ready, or what you might call a low ready position, and delivering 2 shots to the thoracic cavity, not missing. 2 shots to the thoracic cavity. Over time, you will build the speed up. Remember, smooth is fast. We want to do this very smoothly. And if you have to start out slow, better that than missing. So 2 shots to the thoracic cavity should put a stop to an attack. And remember, we shoot because we want to stop something from occurring. We don't shoot to kill. That's illegal. We don't shoot to wound. That's also illegal. We don't shoot to scare. In most places, that's illegal also. There's only one reason you, as a civilian, can shoot, and that is to stop an attack. So 2 shots to the thoracic cavity should stop an attack. Keep in mind something here. 2 shots to the thoracic cavity means anywhere in the thoracic cavity. In other words, 2 shots to one part of the thoracic cavity is just as good as 2 shots to, let's say, another part of the thoracic cavity. So this is what we want to train for. There are no bullseyes on the bad guys, but there is a thoracic cavity on everyone. And 2 shots there should do the trick. Again, 2 shots anywhere in the thoracic cavity is as good as 2 shots anywhere else in the thoracic cavity. There is, however, the possibility that 2 shots to the thoracic cavity may not work. Well, maybe the bad guy is on drugs. He doesn't fill your rounds at all. Maybe he's wearing some heavy clothing, a heavy coat, and your rounds aren't penetrating real well. Well, if he doesn't stop on 2 shots, we have what we call a failure to stop. Simple. Notice the target at the head area. There's a little box there, a little white area. That's known as the cranio-ocular cavity, and it runs from about the top of the eyebrows to the sides of both eyes and down to the bottom of the nose, just where the nose meets the upper lip. This is the area with all the really soft stuff in it, the sinus area. It's pretty mushy there. And a direct hit on that area, well, I have never heard of anyone ever surviving a direct hit to the cranial-ocular cavity. That's a straight pathway into the brain. Usually they'll drop like a sack of potatoes. So that's plan B. You deliver 2 shots to the thoracic cavity. If the bad guy continues to come, now you deploy plan B, the failure to stop, which is a single shot to the cranial-ocular cavity. Now that particular box, that area that you're shooting for, is a lot smaller than the thoracic cavity, so that shot you're going to have to take a little extra time on. But that'll probably be the last shot you have to take. So when we go to the range, we want to train and not practice. You should get the idea of practice out of your head. Instead, get the idea of training into your head. A little bit of combat mindset.